Good evening and welcome to the City of Topeka Planning Commission meeting. We are a commission appointed by the mayor and the city council to plan for the orderly growth and development of the community, to hold public hearings and to make recommendations to the governing body on planning items. Please note the governing body rules state the public hearings for planning cases shall be conducted solely by the planning commission. No additional public hearings will be conducted by the governing body. Tonight's cases are tentatively scheduled to be heard by the governing body next month. Agendas can be found at topeka.org. Some of tonight's cases involve public hearings. For those cases, the procedure will be as follows. First, the planning department staff will summarize the case. Next, we will hear from the applicant or their representative. Then we will receive public testimony. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. For agenda items that do not involve public hearings, public comment is allowed, provided the person is signed up on Topeka Speaks or has notified staff prior to 5 p.m. today. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. Finally, at the end of regular business, the commission will entertain general comment regarding matters relating to the commission business, provided the person has signed up on Topeka Speaks or has notified staff prior to 5 p.m. today. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. Amanda, will you please take the roll?
Mr. Lally?
Here.
Ms. Nelson?
Here.
Ms. Herron?
Here.
Mr. Brooks?
Here.
Mr. Kaut?
Here.
Mr. Nager?
Here.
Ms. Pearson?
Here.
Mr. Mock?
Here.
Ms. Hannon?
Here.
We have enough for a quorum.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is approval of the minutes from December 16th, 2024. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at those? Are there any questions? All right, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move approval as submitted.
Second.
Amanda, is there any discussion? Amanda?
Ms. Hannon?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Nager?
Aye.
Mr. Kaut?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Ms. Herron?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson?
Aye.
Mr. Lally?
Aye.
Minutes pass.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is the special committee for housing appointments, or that me making appointments to the special committee on housing. So with that, I would like to first ask if the present members, if all of them would like to return. I see 3 nods and a maybe.
I believe that I may not be eligible to return as a member of the committee, but I'm happy to stay in the loop.
Understood. So right now I have Commissioner Herron, and I have to put on my glasses to see your last name. Yes, Nelson. Commissioner Nelson and Commissioner Kopp. That's 3. We would like to have at least 4. Are there any other commissioners who are interested in participating on this committee? You meet, Jim is currently considered the chair of the committee, and you meet about how often? Can you give us a little background?
That's what I say.
The frequency the committee meets is about once a month, is that correct?
Once or twice.
Okay, once or twice a month, okay. So, your mic,
Jim.
Sorry about that.
okay. Do I have any other commissioners currently interested in serving on this committee? I am looking at you, Commissioner Brooks.
I see that. Yeah, I'd love to serve in any way I can.
Thank you. So With that, I'm just appointing them, correct? Yep, those are my appointments. Commissioner Herron, Commissioner Nelson, Commissioner Brooks, and that whole side of the Diaz right there. Right. Is there any questions or concerns? All right, if not, we will proceed on with the election of 2025 for the chair and the vice chair. First, I need you look like you're ready to go, Dan.
Only if there's questions.
Okay. So first, I need a nomination for the position of chair for 2025.
I would like to nominate William Nager.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, okay. That was enthusiastic. All right. Are there any comments, questions? You guys want to say anything? No? Can I proceed with the vote?
Mr. Lawley?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Herron?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Kaut?
Aye.
Mr. Nager?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Ms. Hannon?
Aye.
Mr. Nager is our 2025 chair.
All right. Do I proceed with vice or do I just get up? All right. I will entertain nominations for the vice chair.
I'd move that Demetrius Herron be nominated for vice chair.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion, questions? Amanda, please proceed.
Ms. Hannon?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Nager?
Aye.
Mr. Kaut?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Ms. Herron?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson?
Aye.
Mr. Lawley?
Aye.
Demetrius is our 2025 vice chair.
All right. With that, I will turn the meeting over to our new vice chair, Commissioner Nager.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is declaration of conflicts of interest or ex parte communications. Are there any for the items that we're reviewing tonight? Seeing none, we're going to move on to action items. First is PUD 2501, John January 3, DBA Topeka Renovation. I'll turn it over to staff for their presentation.
Thank you. This is a rezoning from R2 Single Family Dwelling District with a conditional use permit for automobile service type 2, all to a new PUD plan unit development. The uses in that PUD would include O&I 2, office and institutional uses, a contractor shop, sales of cars and light-duty trucks, and automobile service type 2, and personal services. The property is located at 2845 Southeast Indiana, the northwest intersection of 29th and Indiana. It contains 0.24 acres. This particular applicant is proposing to use a portion of the site for the sales of automobiles. To do so, the state requires an automobile dealer's license have zoning approval. City cannot provide that verification under the site's current R2 zoning. The property already has a conditional use permit for automobile service type 2 that was approved in 1984. However, that automobile service station type 2 does not permit the sales of used and new vehicles. The PUD is necessary to restrict the permitted land uses to those that are compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and allow the owner more flexibility to reuse his existing commercial property. The property was annexed into the city of Topeka in 1959. Prior to that, the commercial building was constructed in 1950 as a service repair shop. The zoning was never changed from its R2 single-family dwelling district classification until 1984, when a CUP was approved to allow the radiator shop. Planning has recommended or proposed an O&I2 office and institutional district-based zoning to the PUD. In addition to that, to those O&I2 uses, the following uses would specifically be allowed: sales of cars and light-duty trucks, automobile service type station type 2, and personal services. The auto sales will be limited to no more than 5 on the site at one time. The subject property is at the intersection of Southeast 29th, which is an arterial, and Southeast Indiana, a collector. It's just north of a gas station and convenience store. The surrounding neighborhood is comprised of small to medium detached single-family houses to the northwest and east. Those properties to the northeast and west are all zoned R2 single-family. The property to the south is zoned C2, and there's also a PUD zoning for an auto sales lot on that property. The building was constructed for commercial uses in 1950 and has remained as a commercial use since that time. The city never rezoned the property to allow the existing commercial use. The intent of this PUD is to provide the owner flexibility to reuse the building for office and commercial uses while still placing use, signage, and other conditions on to ensure an appropriate fit. The property sits on the boundary line between the Central Highland Park neighborhood and Highcrest neighborhoods. It is within an area that's considered neighborhood commercial designation, and which is in the Highcrest neighborhood plan. That designates the intersection of 29th and Indiana for commercial businesses that serve local needs. Based upon these findings and analysis, staff is recommending approval, subject to all the conditions in the staff report being approved by an ordinance that goes before the governing body. So that all those conditions will be in the ordinance reclassifying the property. I am open for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? Commissioner Cowell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Eddie, the building, the business that's in existence right now,
Yes.
they take their both ingress and egress off 29th Street
Yes.
and right turn, left turn across those lanes of traffic, right? The handwritten drawing that we had in the agenda packet and had the red notes from traffic.
Right, those are some comments traffic made on the site plan. An exit, as far as I know, is not proposed onto the alley. I don't know, the applicant may be able to answer that a little further, but those are some comments that were received back from our traffic engineering when we sent this to them, since the site is relatively small for a new use. If a new use
Okay,
were to
thank
go
you.
on the property.
Commissioner Pearson?
I just want a clarification. On the slide, it says Central Park neighborhood, but in the packet, it says Central Highland Park.
Yes, it is Central Highland Park.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing no other questions, if there's a representative of the applicant here, you may come forward and give a presentation.
Hello, I'm Cassandra Hutchinson. I'm representing Topeka Renovations today. So they want to open a car lot that is going to be easier for the Highcrest families in that community to be able to purchase cars that are actually going to last. Me, myself, I'm a single mom with 3 kids. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to go buy, a $5,000-$6,000 car, and 2 weeks later, it's dead. I just spent all my money and I don't have a car now. So they are trying to make cars affordable that will actually last worth the money that they're getting for them. Having it on that lot, it's, you know, like I said, it's pretty busy through there. A lot of families come through there. There's a gas station that's right across the street. So it'll make it a lot more known to people who drive down that area or in that area often. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. Now we move on to the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this application? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any more discussion by commissioners? I would also entertain a motion.
A motion to recommend approval.
All right. Motion for approval. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. We're ready for a roll.
Mr. Lally?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Herron? Aye. Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Kaut?
Aye.
Mr. Nager?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Ms. Hannon?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. Next is Z2501 by AMD Partners LLC. I will hand that over to staff when ready for the staff presentation.
I hope that's the right way out.
Yeah, it is.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight I am presenting on Z2501, rezoning proposal by AMD Partners LLC. This rezoning concerns just over 10 acres on Southwest Arvonia Place, just north of the Lowe's on 17th and Arvonia. The proposal is to rezone from C4 commercial, which it currently is, to M2 multifamily. And the hope is that they're going to be able to develop some affordable apartments for seniors. Initially 48 units and then 96 units in the second phase. The character of the area, it's a mix of multifamily and kind of large commercial uses. There are two different multifamily complexes to the north and to the west. One of them is kind of garden apartment style, one is duplexes and triplexes. And then in addition, all those large commercial uses, there's the Lowe's Home Improvement, Aldi, Sam's Club, Walmart. So kind of two dominant land uses in the surrounding neighborhood. The future land use plan identifies this specific tract as being large commercial. It is just adjacent to the medium high density residential zone. And you can see that sort of brownish color on the map. So this rezoning does not fit precisely with the future land use map, but it does fit with the need for housing that's been identified by the citywide housing market study and strategy. Staff is recommending approval of the reclassification of the property from C4 commercial to M2 multifamily. And if there are any questions for staff, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions for staff?
Additionally, we did receive a public comment through Topeka Speaks. I believe it was placed in front of you all in your seats. So if you have any questions about that, happy to answer those as well.
Commissioner Pearson?
So this is this coming in as being zoned as affordable or just just generic multi?
So it's just, the zoning is just generic multi. Everything we've heard from the applicant is they're planning to pursue, I believe, tax credits that would, so the actual development would be limited by tax credits to being affordable, but there's no conditions on the zoning necessarily.
So there's no condition saying that it will be affordable?
Yes,
Just,
correct.
it's a thought?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any concern with it being so sandwiched in a commercial district the way that is? Well, I mean, I know, of course, we have no site plan, but in the future, I'm looking at a Lowe's as my next door neighbor, or a housing, or that's a hotel, right? Yeah. Is there any, there's no concerns about that?
I think,
Commissioner Pearson?
yeah, so we have received a conceptual site plan. That's actually included. I included it for applicant's benefit.
Oh, I missed that, I'm sorry.
It wasn't in the staff report.
Oh, okay.
So, but it is, I included it in the presentation. Apologies for the confusion. We feel that with the landscaping requirements that would be imposed by site plan review, that any development would be kind of,
So Lowe's is in where's Lowe's?
Lowe's would be to the south, directly to the south of this. North is up. So you can kind of see the property line. It kind of does a little jagged. And just south of that is Lowe's.
So you're hoping that the distance at phase one will be enough of a barrier that they won't feel like they're living next door to a shopping? Is that the thought? I just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
It might be a concern for site plan review, but
Because phase two is going to be right next to Lowe's.
So Commissioner, maybe those are questions for the applicant, but also this isn't just a commercial area. We have multifamily, large multifamily to the north and also to the west. So it is a mix of uses. It might seem like it's a lot of big box over here, but there's actually multifamily directly in this neighborhood. So-
To the west of it.
yeah,
Okay.
actually just to the north as well. Those are I think the Overlook Apartments is what they're called.
Yeah, they're set up high on a hill behind.
And I believe this site might be kind of straddling that hill.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right, if the applicant or representative of the applicant is here, please come forward.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you, staff, for being here as well. It's a beautiful and blustery night here on President's Day, so thank you for your time. My name is Matthew Danner. I'm here on behalf of AMD Partners. My address for the record is 1440 Erie Street, Suite A, North Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. So to address, I guess, first and foremost, the affordability question, essentially when these developments are funded with low-income housing tax credits, the state and federal government require a 30-year restrictive covenant to be recorded against the property that ensures the affordability. So if that's a concern, that this property will have a restrictive covenant on it that requires us to comply with the affordability requirements. And the affordability requirements, you might ask, those are, we're required to fit within certain designations of AMI. And so we can have some portion of market rate, but more than likely this will all be targeted between 30 to 60% of the area median income for Shawnee County. So that equates to rental rates of somewhere between roughly $450-ish a month to $950 to $1,000. So, and I know one of the comments that was posed, or the comment that was posed, sort of questioned whether or not these will actually be affordable. Yes, they will be. They're required to be. It's monitored by the state. The IRS also ensures that we are charging affordable rents. So, and while we have the site plan up here, a couple of items. The dashed line that kind of bifurcates the site north to south, that's actually also a restrictive covenant that's been recorded against the property, which is a view corridor for Lowe's, meaning there's a restriction that you can only have a certain size building, square footage wise and height wise, setting closer to Arbonia than that hashed line, which really kind of takes back any large scale commercial development and really sets it back. About the back side of where that building sits the hill varies in size. It's probably 15 to 25 feet, depending where it is, but that there's a ton of topographical considerations to actually develop this site, and between that and the restriction on the view corridor, I think that's probably part of, a large part of the reason as to why this hasn't been developed. It's considerably difficult to do. Our engineers estimate somewhere 35 to 50,000 yards of dirt need to get moved in order to set the building in this location on this site. So there's some challenges with it that we've addressed with planning staff, and certainly we'll continue to move forward, work towards that site achieving what it needs to achieve in order to pass site plan development review and things of that nature. Happy to stand for any other direct questions you all might have.
Any questions for the applicant? I had one question. So that you said that dotted line reflects a property right of the Lowe's?
So I guess as part of whenever this was, I guess when the Lowe's was likely platted, I'm going from my understanding of what it is, but there's a basically restrictive covenant that says anything closer to Arbonia Place than that in these restrictive covenants, it has to be, I believe it's smaller than 6,000 square foot and can't be more than 2 stories.
I guess not a question, but I think it's notable that the viewing pleasure of Lowe's shoppers requires you to buy quite a chunk of land that you are not able to do anything productive with, or less things.
Correct, and whether it's us or any other interested party in developing it, would have to either get a release of that from Lowe's or abide by it.
Yep.
So.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is public testimony. Anyone from the public who would like to speak on this application? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any discussion by commissioners? I was just going to say that I had the chance to look at the public comment that we received online that was supportive of this going through, but notes that there does seem to be a theme with different applications that we get for housing, which I think is a somewhat fair point. I think they usually tend to be larger applications, which is why I think much of the work being done by the committee that's working to make a variety of housing options more available to build is important, because we need housing like this application, and we need housing that is not being seen in applications. But just wanted to thank the person for commenting. All right, if there's no more discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
All right,
Second.
any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we're ready for a vote.
Mr. Lawley?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Herron?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Kaut?
Aye.
Mr. Nager?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Ms. Hannon?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, next is a report from our Special Committee on Housing. I'll turn that over to Committee Chair Cowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've had a number of meetings since the time of the last Planning Commission meeting back in the middle of December. And just to make sure the record is clear on this, this is the report of the Incentives Committee, which, has now been merged or transformed into the Housing Standing Committee for Housing a few minutes ago. I will be brief. As you know from previous meetings, what we have our focus on at the moment is the idea of introducing small multifamily units into single-family zoning districts, R1 and R2. And specifically duplexes, either as an allowed or conditional use, and then probably triplexes and fourplexes as conditional uses. So that's the concept that's being vetted. And we had a couple meetings with folks that were reported to you back at the December meeting. But since then, we have met with the full body of the Citizens Advisory Council on January 8th. We met with the College Hill Neighborhood Association on January 13th. Met with the North Topeka East NIA on February 10th. And we have a meeting scheduled for February 26th with the Highcrest NIA. And all of these meetings were night meetings, and I appreciate the staff setting up the meetings and attending. Rhiannon and Mike and Dan were at, collectively they covered all of these meetings and had a slideshow presentation. I will mention that the feedback that we got was not surprising, albeit a bit disappointing. The criticisms that we had were really criticisms of introducing rental property into what might otherwise be owner-occupied neighborhoods. The thinking being if you build a duplex, no matter how nice it is, one or both of the units is going to be a rental unit. And so we're unfortunately got some input from folks about stereotypes regarding both renters and landlords. But it was not overwhelming in its nature, and it wasn't ugly by any means, but it was that was the basis of the input that I think have received up to this point. The committee also met with planning staff back on January 24th to kind of digest the input that we'd had from the NIA meetings. I think we also had Dan advised us about this survey, an online survey that has been posted on the city's website. And he might want to make some comments about that tonight. Dan will talk about the online survey, which I think we've had some significant numbers on that. But before going to that, mention a couple of other things that the Incentives Committee has been working on, and we would propose to keep working on as a Housing Committee. Staff has been working on amendments to parking regulations affecting all zoning districts, and they've shared with us the thoughts about some deregulation or lessening of the regulations on the residential side. The committee considered those, and we gave some suggestions for further reductions in the requirements. Again, all in the interest of trying to drive down the development costs in the hope that that would translate into lower cost housing. The other topic that we have dealt with, or still dealing with, is trying to do some outreach to developers of multifamily housing around the state of Kansas, folks that have, whether using the low-income housing tax credit or otherwise, they're building affordable housing in other cities, but they've not come to Topeka. And we're talking about reaching out to some of those folks and seeing if there's a reason why they haven't built in Topeka, whether it's their analysis of the marketplace in Topeka or some other reason. But Dan, do you have some comments about the survey?
Yeah, just real quick. So the last time we checked, we were at 375. That was probably Thursday or Friday, so it's likely gone up. So we've gotten pretty good turnout on that one. And just real quick, that College Hill meeting Jim was talking about went the way he described, but some of the other meetings have been more positive. We've gotten good feedback from like North Topeka East and where else did we go? CAC. So generally, the feedback hasn't always been, oh, what are you thinking? Some of it's been, great, this is awesome stuff. So just wanted to point that out. Anything else?
I had a quick question for you, Dan. I didn't realize the survey was coming out. Someone pointed it out to me, and I'm like, I feel like that's our survey. Is it primarily the same survey we sent out a couple years ago? I didn't want to falsely take the survey, so what is the content of it?
It's similar to the accessory dwelling unit, but it's a totally different topic. So it's asking people, taking temperature about allowing duplexes by right in single family or by conditional use, and it talks about quads and tris, and it has some pictures and some other things. So we kind of walk them through the survey and just get some feedback on thoughts about what we're asking.
And what will we do with those thoughts?
Try to put it together in a report. When we come back and talk to you more about this project, we'll do our best to report back what's all in there and just see how it goes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I have a quick question. How much longer will this survey run?
That's a great question. So we had talked about shutting it down on the 21st, but since we're having that meeting with Highcrest on the 26th, I think we'll extend it out at least till the 28th. So we'll keep it open the rest of this month.
I was just going to also say, the main feedback that I think stuck out to me was preference for new builds over transitioning existing houses, need for code enforcement to go hand in hand with this, and then if at one point we had some language that suggested that alleys might be preferable for this kind of use, and the hope is that it's more, if an alley exists in the neighborhood, maybe some encouragement to use the alley, not just focus on neighborhoods that have alleys. But I've been encouraged. Like was said, the North Topeka East, it was pretty much, please get it done. And College Hill, it was those priorities I just said. But anything else, Commissioner Cobb?
No, thank you for adding that, Mr. Chairman. I agree with what you said. Yep.
All right. Then next is public comment. Is there any general public comment for the commission? Seeing none, we'll move on to communications to the commission.
Commissioners, I'm glad Jim brought up parking. So that is definitely an active project that we're working on. And it's not just residential, although we're proposing some fairly, I would argue, significant changes to what we require for residential, particularly multifamily parking, but also looking at our commercial parking as well. So that's a fairly old parking code that we're dealing with, and things can be better, in particular the residential parking. Quick update on the land use and growth management plan. We had talked about updating that. We're working on that. We were going to potentially present something at this meeting, but there's a few things on there that are taking longer for good reason. So we just need to spend some time, for instance, with that future land use map, and make sure that we're updating that thoughtfully and making sure we're trying to catch as much as we can. So I imagine we'll have something to talk about, discuss in March. There's no cases for March, so what we'll talk about in March is the land use and growth management plan, and then possibly some other things. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about duplexes and single family at March, those sorts of things. So no action cases for March. I think that's all I have.
All right. Any questions? All right. Then with that, we are at the end of our meeting and we are adjourned.